meeting to order as soon as that's ready. Okay, being 5:05 PM, I being the town clerk, I'm calling to order the Harbor Commission meeting for December 9th. I will recognize that the following Harbor Commission members are in attendance: Gary Mataronis Jr., Greg Mataronis, Ian Parenti, Scott Morrison, Tom Grimes, Jeremy Howard. We also have Mike Massa, the Harbor Master, and Assistant Harbor Master Charlie Hall. Absent from the board is Ben Gothier at this time. The first item on the agenda.
About me, Carol, Town Council Liaison.
Oh, I forget about you, Gary. Sorry.
No, you do.
Mataronis
I'm
Senior,
getting used to
Town
that.
Council
I
Liaison.
feel kind of bad, Carol. You've been pretty mean to me lately. No.
Oh, I got throat.
Yeah.
Poor thing. All right, the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from September 28th. So have you had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any motions to accept as written?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay, so let the record show that Scott Morrison made the motion, Tom Grimes second. I will do a roll call for how you will vote. So Tom Grimes,
Yes.
Greg Mataronis,
Yes.
Gary Mataronis Jr.
Yes.
Jeremy Howard,
Yes.
Scott Morrison,
Yes. Aye.
and Ian Parenti.
Yes.
Okay, and let the record show that it was unanimous. The next item on the agenda is election of officers due to the resignation of your chair. So are there any nominations for chair of the Harbor Commission?
I make a motion to appoint Greg if he's willing to accept it.
I'll take the arrows.
I'll second that
Any
motion.
more nominations, or do we want to vote on that nomination? Okay, then nomination is made by Gary Mataronis Jr. I will take a roll call of the board members. Tom Grimes,
Yes.
Greg Mataronis.
Do I get a vote on this?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Okay, let's see, Gary Mataronis Jr.,
Yes.
Jeremy Howard,
Yes, and thank you, Greg.
Scott
We'll
Morrison,
see.
Yes.
and Ian Parenti.
Yes.
Okay, so the record shows that Greg is now the chairman. So Greg, would you like me to do the other two seats and then turn it over to you, or are you okay with taking over?
Either is fine. I can take over. We can. Well,
Go
you know what? Why
right
don't
ahead,
you go?
then.
Why don't we go through the two seats and then I'll take over.
Oh, okay, all right. So then you need to nominate a vice chairman for your board. Are there any nominations?
I mean, I'd nominate Gary Jr.
Yeah.
Return the favor.
Paybacks.
You got that right.
All right, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call for Gary Mataronis to be vice chairman. Tom Grimes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Greg Mataronis,
Yes.
Gary Mataronis Jr.,
Yes. I'll
Jeremy
take it.
Howard,
Yes.
Scott Morrison,
Yes.
and Ian Parenti.
Yes.
So let the record show it's unanimous. Now we need a nomination secretary.
I'll make a motion for Tom Grimes if he's willing to accept.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations, or we're going to let that stand? Let it stand, okay. So let the record show that we are voting on secretary for Tom Grimes. Tom, how do you vote?
Yes. With reservations.
Right in the club.
Greg Mataronis,
Yes.
Gary Mataronis Jr.,
Yes.
Jeremy Howard,
Yes.
Scott Morrison,
Yes.
and Ian Parente.
Yes.
Okay, let the record show it was unanimous. I will turn it over to you, new chairman.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so on to old business. We're looking at the status of the Ethics Commission's opinion for board members serving on elected official and so Carol, do you have that information?
Oh, I do. I kind of hoped that it had been sent to you already. I didn't double check during the day. Here's Ben coming in right now, so let me get his audio up to speed, and I will let him speak on the matter.
Okay.
Ben, if you'd like to unmute yourself, we'll let the record show that you're now joining the meeting, and we had just reached the point where we were going to discuss the Ethics Commission opinion.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Sorry I was late, gentlemen. Yeah, so I'm Ben Gauthier. Hi. I had a request by the solicitor to write to the Ethics Commission about holding two positions, Budget Committee and your commission. And I went through the charter and through the all of the applicable town documents I could find. The attorney from the Ethics Commission looked at that material, looked at other precedent, quoted some statutes on holding multiple positions in town. And because these are unpaid positions and because of the role of the town council in administering, all of the business of the harbor management of the harbor management fund, they saw no conflict of interest whatsoever, and said, you can hold both of these public service positions. They sent me a draft opinion that I forwarded to Carol, and they're going to send me a completed, fully signed version of that, just so the record. I'm here to join you.
Very good.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. So is that official now? Is he official?
Yes, it is official, yes. They cast their vote during a hearing this morning, or yesterday rather.
Okay.
It is all official, and he can without reservation at this time.
Okay, great news. Well, sounds like we're rounded out. So on to new business. We're looking at a mooring transfer for Howard Merriman. Mike, do you have information on that?
Yep. I received a letter on July 27th from Howard Merriman Jr. Gifting 100% ownership of his boat, the towed boat, to my daughter, Catherine Merriman. Please transfer mooring number 22 to Catherine. She lives on 42 Bailey's Ledge Road. And that's it. So I have a request here. And I see no reason why the transfer shouldn't be moved.
So it's the same boat and everything? And
Yep, same boat, same mooring, going from father to daughter.
okay. Is there a motion to approve this transfer?
I'll make a
Make that
motion to
motion.
approve it.
Second. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, any
Scott.
discussion?
Yeah, I just want to ask, Mike, maybe you can refresh our memory that you can transfer interfamily once, right, per mooring? Or not?
No,
No?
you
Okay.
can transfer, right now, you can transfer repeatedly.
Okay,
And, I firmly believe that is the way it's always been and kind of the way we should keep it as long
Okay.
as we can.
Yeah, we strongly want to keep it that way.
okay.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Can we take a vote on it? All in favor? Carol, do you want me to do roll call or do you want to just all in favor?
I can do it for you if you want me to.
Yes, please.
Who
All those
seconded
in
that?
favor of the pardon me?
Excuse me, who seconded that motion?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, okay.
So all those in favor of granting the mooring transfer for Howard Merriman to his daughter Catherine, Tom Grimes,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Gary Jr.,
Yes.
Jeremy Howard,
Yes.
Ben Gauthier,
Yes.
Scott Morrison,
Yes.
Ian Parente.
Yes.
Okay, let the record show it's unanimous.
Okay, and just as a point of order, the chair votes on all of this, or am I just a tie break?
You may vote on all if you'd like to. You are a tiebreaker in the instance where you may have a tie, but it's your prerogative to vote.
Okay, okay. Mooring transfer, Mike?
Yes. We have-
Yeah, Peter
we have-
Buffum mooring transfer?
Yes. So we have another transfer that I received on October 21st. It was from Peter Buffum, who owns mooring number 125. He would like to transfer his mooring to his son, David Buffum. Same boat, same mooring. And I see no reason why the transfer shouldn't go through.
Okay, is there a motion with regards to this?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
I can second.
Okay. Any discussion on it? I guess,
Just a question. Mike, is that the power boat or the sailboat?
The power boat.
Okay, thank you.
Carol, do you want to do a roll call, please?
Or for Tom, in case he didn't get it, the motion was made by Scott Morrison and it was seconded by Ian Parente. All those in favor of the transfer of Peter Buffum's mooring to his son, Tom Grimes,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Gary Jr.,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Ben Gauthier,
Yes.
Scott Morrison,
Yes.
and Ian Parente.
Yes.
Let the record show it's unanimous.
Okay, on to the last agenda item, the water quality harbor discussion of alleged sewage dumping. We've had a complaint. I'm not sure who can handle this best.
I'm happy to speak from the Point Club's perspective. I think we all know the person behind the complaint. This most recent complaint to EPA is actually a complaint about the Rhode Island DEM. At this point, it's not even a complaint per se about actors in the harbor. She's upset that Rhode Island DEM has investigated her complaints and found them to be not credible. So she's complaining to EPA that EPA should take over the management of the harbor because Rhode Island DEM is not properly enforcing and monitoring and testing. So from the Point Club's perspective, she's been an enemy of the Point Club for, I guess, 20 years. DEM's been down, checked numerous times, sampled the harbor, checked our systems. The Point Club's probably the most monitored entity in the town in terms of what goes in and what goes out. She's made allegations. She's made allegations that we store radioactive nuclear waste at our wellheads, that we dump sewage through our reverse osmosis outflow pipe, that we're using the shared well to make ice, and that she has on good record that members complain that their ice and water tastes like sewage. Of course, it's the same well that's being used by her was being used by her former colleague, and some of these things, Rhonda Marvel and Phil's house across the way. The Point Club does not use that water for anything potable. The only thing that it's used for is the marina, which is a separate entity, uses it to wash down boats. So, in our opinion, there's nothing to her allegations, which has been proven out. I actually talked to Janet Coit, who's the head of Rhode Island DEM, recently, and she said, "Oh, you guys have no idea. I mean, that harbor and the Point Club is not the only things that we hear from her about. It's endless, the amount of things that she alleges and sends to us. So that's sort of the state of things. We're waiting to hear. DEM is preparing or has prepared a pretty detailed response to EPA. We haven't seen it or heard whether it's been sent, but it's basically an allegation against DEM at this point.
I mean, from a fisherman's perspective and somebody that spends a lot of time on the side of the Point Club and in the harbor, and I mean, I live at the harbor, so I don't go away from it. I've never seen anything, any type of sewage, any kind of even pump out, or no smells, nothing. I mean, I just think it's like Scott says. I mean, she's got an agenda and she's pushing. She's pushing it. It's just, I don't find any of it credible, and I haven't witnessed anything of that sort. So that's just coming from me, but.
She's attempted to try to prevent people from swimming or otherwise using the harbor for recreational purposes beyond sailing or boating. And that's met a dead end at this point, as far as the club is concerned, based on everything that I know of.
Yeah, Scott, thank you for the clarification, because this person was in attendance at the yacht club's annual meeting over the summer, and had done repeat testing, I guess, at different points through the harbor. Fortunately, the yacht club side, it seems to be, we came up clean. So it was definitely pointed at the opposite club on the other side of the harbor, at the Point Club, as you mentioned. But I guess my point in bringing this up earlier on email was just that just if there was, we were obviously a unified body representing the harbor, so should a response be necessary, it's just nice to have those facts in place. So if you wouldn't mind, if we do see DEM response, I guess it would be favorable and interesting to at least have that shared.
Yeah, and the Point Club's taken the attitude that, responding in the media or, it just feeds what she's trying to accomplish. Right. So, I mean, unless there's a specific allegation we have to respond to, we're not going to write a letter to the editor or do anything else publicly. This has been going on for, a couple decades now, so.
Yes.
Yeah, and the article in the paper seemed like it's very inconsistent, test methodologies, and the DEM, actually looked at their data and, said that they weren't, testing in an appropriate way, tested themselves, didn't agree with, the data they were presenting, and didn't agree with their test methods, did their own testing and found, differently. So it seems like the DEM is being forthright about it. I'm wondering, is there any more we could do to just, not engage her, but be quietly forthright about, hey, when you get your slip to renew your mooring, there's a statement in there that says, yeah, you have to be insured. Yeah, if you have an onboard containment system, you need to be properly inspected and stickered, and that's it. We just, try to stay as ahead of, any of these accusations so that they're clearly false. Can that help?
Well, and all boats with or without heads are supposed to have stickers. I mean, right. It's a law that it's been on the books for 10 years now, and but DEM pretty much has dropped the ball on enforcing it. I've been trying to contact the gentleman that's Bob Ballou is the gentleman that's the head of the program, and he hasn't returned any of my phone calls. She was trying to get me to, I don't know, try to force people to get stickers, I guess. And that's just not the way it works. It's not any more than I have the authority to force someone to get flares or life jackets for their boats. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think what we should do is, I know I will do on my boat, is make sure I have a sticker. I do have an active sticker, but I broke the window, and the new window I replaced it with doesn't have a sticker. So even I need to get mine re-inspected. And all I can do is people that have heads on board recommend that they get a sticker. But of course, you can have a sticker and it doesn't mean that you're not pumping out, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So, but hopefully it'll satisfy her.
I'm just wondering if, is there, anything we can do that's, costs us nothing, but it just shows that we're, being diligent about, reminding people to follow process. I mean, you look at the signage that Charlie's put up at the club, it's been,
Right.
extremely explicit that, don't be a fool, then, try to do the right thing. And
Right.
I think it just in the documentation that goes out when you do your mooring, do you want to just remind people, hey, this is your responsibility?
Yeah, I certainly could put it in the newsletter that I send out every year. That's a good idea. Yeah.
And on the mooring application, it asks outright if you have a head or not, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So it is on there.
Yeah, you just remind people of their responsibility, and then no one can say you don't care. You're taking it as seriously as you can, and you're not,
Yep. Good point.
you're not an enforcement agent. You're just reminding people of their own personal responsibility.
Right.
Mike, you could probably just cut and paste what the law is. There's no discharge in any Rhode Island waters
Right.
from a marine head. And maybe that would be a good idea if you could just
Absolutely.
mooring renewal.
Yeah.
Mike, who issues the stickers?
So they would be issued by wherever there's a pump out station.
Yeah, see, now getting back to the pump out station, probably 15 years ago, there was concern about putting a pump out station in Secaucus. Well, at that time, I think there was only 1 or 2 boats that had heads on them that would utilize that pump out station. And the town would have to man it basically 12, 14 hours a day. And we didn't want to put it on the town dock because it'd be in the way on the town dock. So we really didn't have another place to put it. But
No, it certainly doesn't make sense for us to do it.
No, what it would have created was a pump and dump system for all the boats that are coming from wherever they're coming from, going up the river, or the boats coming down the river. They would come into Secaucus and dump it at a cost to us. Plus, it would be interference in the harbor for all these sailboats or pleasure boats coming into the pump and dump. So I think that came up when we were doing the harbor management plan, and we did ask DEM about it, and they said that it wasn't necessary for us to have one because the amount of heads we had in the harbor. So that's why we don't have one.
No, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Yeah, and with, this conversation's gone from accusations against the Point Club to accusations against recreational boaters. She's pointed out the large commercial fishing fleet. And it appears to me, just as we all know, that she's just looking for something to stick, because maybe her primary target was the Point Club, but to try to get some action from somebody, she's basically thrown every single boater in the harbor into this, hoping that something sticks.
Yeah, she's also insinuated that there's surge coming from across the main road, across 77 through the marsh, through the new pipeline. She's accusing those houses of having failing septic systems, which are leaching into the wetlands, which is finding its way through the storm drain into the harbor.
But that's a former farm. I mean, and we've seen massive flocks of geese come through, seasonal times. And if anybody's been to West Island recently, and you see what the cormorants do, I mean, there's that on top, that rock is not orange anymore. It's white and black. So when you get a flock of birds coming through, that's what they're going to do. And that's what's going to come through. And so she tested specifically at that outfall, and pinned it on. She didn't mention those people. She mentioned the boaters and the Point Club. So.
Right.
And she specifically called out Gary Senior in emails that were distributed as well. So, and that was a reason that you shouldn't vote for him for town council, because he was he was dumping in
Yeah.
the harbor.
She's
I missed that. Damn.
she's also
I
quoted
haven't-
me.
I
She's also
haven't
quoted
met-
me. I've never met the woman in my life. I'm going to be overly blunt here. I don't think we should even entertain the ramblings of a mad person. Like, she's insane. It's as simple as that. If there's a legitimate complaint, I'm all for it, but I think we're wasting time even acknowledging what she's going for at this point.
Should we make a statement that this commission strongly promotes and endorses clean water in the harbor, and that we'll be happy to work with any agency in that regard?
I guess my reaction would be to not react until we need to
Right.
react,
Yeah.
until there's something to react against.
Yeah.
But to Ben's point, I think as good stewards of the harbor, doing whatever we can, just in normal daily business, such as reminding people of head use and discharge, as he brought up, I think should be done anyway. So it's not a direct reaction, but it just shows good action on behalf of the commission as stewards of the harbor. But I don't think there's any point in stirring the pot any further with reaction when we haven't been tasked to react.
Yep, and that's what she wants too, so.
I would find it super hard to believe if anybody that does have a head on their boat in the harbor would pump out in the harbor. I mean, I think everybody that utilizes that harbor really, really enjoys it and wants to keep it pristine. And when this woman alludes that the fishermen are pumping out in the harbor, that's our livelihood. I dig cohogs down by the town dock. There's a commercial diver that comes down. He's been down the last few weeks. That I don't appreciate him being there because there's a few of us that still hand dig, but he's taking those cohogs out of there and he's selling them wholesale to retailers. So I think if there was a problem with anything in the harbor, pollution wise, then we would know about it, because those cohogs have to be tagged where they're coming from. And when they're sold, I mean, if anybody gets sick from it, it would lead right back to here. And I've told that person right to her face when she brought this up that I said, I just dug cohogs the other day and I ate them raw. So, I mean, and I'm still here. But it's just, that's just the way she is. So it's
That explains a lot, Gary.
Right. Well, thank you.
You did your own testing.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, possibly adding a couple sentences onto the mooring applications, but other than that, we should probably not make a mountain out of a molehill for now and give her what she wants and just be prepared if anything comes up, but we'll leave it as be. Does that make sense?
I
Okay.
mean, I don't know if you want to put something in the minutes that after discussion, we all felt that the harbor is not polluted and we all have been diligent to keep it that way. If that's up to you people, whether you want to just put it, but at least the discussion did come up and we don't find that it's worthy for a response.
Yeah,
Like-
and maybe let the minutes show that, the Point Club is working on their behalf and that DEM is working on a response because they've been diligent in their testing as well. So as long as, I would think if that's in there, then people will know we discussed this. And
Yeah, I mean, we're following all the guidelines that come down through EPA to DEM. We're relying on the judgment of the DEM to investigate the claims, and everyone is proceeding with full appreciation of what that harbor is. There's no stakeholder here that wants to see that harbor diminished in water quality.
absolutely. Okay. Is there anything else on this? I mean, so that concludes our agenda. So if we have a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone
Again.
opposed? Hearing none opposed, I think it's unanimous.
All right, thank you. All right, well, thank
Yeah,
you.
Frank.
We'll you guys in a month or whenever the next meeting is.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You
you
too.
too.
Thank you
Thanks.
all.
Merry Christmas.